should probably bring those banners in, huh?
Maybe. Might be time. Welcome in. It's Maine Athletic Fundraising Football Friday, Week 6 from the Spectrum Healthcare Partner Studios across the MBR Radio Network. Matty B, Coach Wing with you here. We got the all the coaches lined up for you, including previews of the Wells-Levitt game with Levitt head football coach Mike Hathaway. I know a lot of Levitt folks were complaining about what they deemed a lack of coverage from local media this week on the football game. So don't worry, you get the coach's interview with Coach Hathaway coming up. Also have Oxford Hills Vikings head football coach Mark Soren. He'll be previewing tonight's game against Gorham. Got a bunch of different things and scenarios for you. Coach Hartley from Lewiston. He'll preview tonight's game against Bonnie Eagle. Coach Sterling will be talking about tonight's game against Bangor. And you'll also have Coach Chris Cates talking about Lisbon. Coach Doucette talking about Oak Hill. And that'll be your interviews for this week. And, of course, Poland head coach Spencer Emerson. All sat down with Coach Wing and myself this week to talk about it on the Maine Athletic Fundraising Football Friday podcast. Coach, pretty decent week last week. We had over 10,000 views between the Coney-Wyndham game, the Poland-Levitt game, and the Lewiston game last week. Getting to be a busy time of year for different things.
Well, it's starting to. It feathers out a little bit now because suddenly you can say, "Oh, 2 4-1 teams" or whatever. Before it's they've played one game and they won or they lost, and you don't know who they are yet. So it's kind of like the Pats. You early on you don't know really who they are until they've played some teams and you get a sense for them, and that's where we're at now. It's kind of exciting.
What this Wells-Levitt game really has me enthralled for Saturday night. Apparently Buzz Media will have that. And, of course, Buzz Media is the school-related outlet for Levitt Athletics. So be looking for that link up on the mbr.org forums. Also, I'll be trying to make sure I get that thing tweeted out so that you can find that easily on Saturday night because that's literally one of the games of the year. So really good stuff there. Cross-class crossover, but the other crossover that we had this year that I think we were all looking forward to was Marshwood TA. That one didn't disappoint. I don't think this one's going to either.
No, they're both in Class C this year.
Oh, that's right. That's
Wells
right.
moved
That's right.
up.
Well, I mean, this is the dream cross-class, right? Like I've always wanted that afterwards. Like, why can't we have the A and the B schools play each other and the C and the D schools play each other afterwards? You know what I mean? Sure. I don't expect Bucksport to play Bonnie Eagle. Okay, I don't expect that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it someday, like in great stuff. But no, let's be realistic.
Indiana basketball,
right? But I mean, with the C's and the D's and stuff like that, most of the time, like you can probably get a decent matchup.
Pretty close.
I mean, you've seen some of the way these cross classes have gone. I mean, I think Wells could have done just about anything in whatever class they wanted to over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, I think most of Class B, they could play them pretty tough. I'm not sure about Marshwood, but they could play pretty much everybody. I think.
I think just about everybody thinks this is probably your de facto. Your de facto regional final this year.
Yeah, I talked to, as you'll see in the interview, I think we had about 12 minutes worth.
That's light for you guys.
Yeah,
Jeez.
well, we had.
You guys in a hurry?
Well, no, but we wanted to say some stuff that he didn't want on the air, so we stopped the interview so we could work on the whiteboard a little bit. But boy, it's fun. We go way back. When I was at Oak Hill, he was at Oak Hill. I think he was one of my last hires, actually. But known him a long time. But, these are two really strong programs. Although he reminded me, when I was saying, boy, some of our teams that we cover are struggling. He said, hey, I think he said 3 years ago, we were 2-7. I went, what? When did that happen? He goes, no, seriously. It was one of those years we had not many seniors. And he said, so we struggled. So everybody goes through that. But anyway, Wells has been the kind of those teams, TA, Marshwood, Wells, those have been the three stalwarts, if you will, for the last several years. Wells has had a tradition. McDonough, who was the coach before Roach, ran wing T and the 4. He became the principal, and Roach was one of his assistants, and he's still running exactly the same things. I mean, he's made some adjustments, and I think that was one of the things that Coach Hathaway was concerned about. You watch all of their film, and they haven't shown this, they haven't shown that, and then all of a sudden you play them, and they're doing some of those things that you weren't expecting, which tells you, who the good coaches are. Levitt will show some things, I'm sure, that somebody hasn't seen before. So, although when it comes down to it, as a coach, you may get a big gain or even a touchdown off something they're not expecting, but you win with your bread and butter. Dance with who brung you, so to speak. And I think that's what I'm expecting in that game. I think it's going to be tooth and nail. I think it's going to go right down to the wire. I think that Levitt has a little bit more experienced quarterback. I think Wyatt played all of last year, Wyatt Hathaway. It looks like the single back, two backs really, the fullback and the halfback for Wells. They've been doing a long time. They interviewed their top running back, and he said, we started when I was in the 6th grade running exactly the same plays, and he said, in practice we go the ones versus the ones, the twos versus the ones. So he said you get plenty of chance to run the plays, and he said we only run about 5 plays, so we all know them pretty well, and so on. So I would expect that out of them. There won't be many surprises, and I think Levitt runs that wide open style, no huddle, with some change ups, and as we saw last week, they've got some good personnel. They've got some speed. I just think it's a game, like you say, it's a game you wait for. And I think they're going to see each other again. They're both in the South, and we're going to see them both again.
I'm well.
What you hope
I
is
feel
it's
I feel very supportive of your choice.
What
there,
you hope
yes.
that it's in the final, not in the semi.
Correct,
or whatever.
and you never know how those things can shake out when it comes to Crabtrees, things of that nature. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon here on Patriots doom and gloom stuff, because I think at the end of the day, what I'm really excited about with this team is, even as poor as the offense has looked thus far, the Patriots defense continues to look really good. This is the first legitimate defense we've seen in a very long time from this team. I mean, they really rounded into form last year, and I don't think any of us truly believed it. Yet they're having one of the top, I think statistically, which is a stat called the DVOA, they're having one of the top, they're having the 5th best season of all time. You know who's having the 6th best season of all time in defense right now? The 49ers, okay?
Wow.
So you've got those two teams right now who are both undefeated, having historically great defensive seasons and winning games in much the same fashion. Kind of slow plodding in the first half, then the second half pulling away. You've seen it for a couple of weeks now. And they're also with the Patriots, they're surviving a lot of injuries, and they're surviving a lot of key injuries at timely points, right? Like, you can ill afford an injury to Josh Gordon right now. Yeah, there he is twisting his knee on a Thursday night. A lot of people complain about
missing the whole rest of the game.
Look, a lot of people complain about Thursday night football, but he could have twisted his knee on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday night. It could have happened any time. So that one, let's just throw that one right out the window, okay? I think the best way to do the Thursday nighters is, if they are going to add an extra game or an extra 2 game, I think what you do is you add a Thursday nighter in there, but you add a second bye week. And then you make sure that the bye week is always before the Thursday nighter, right? Because then you get a back-to-back bye week, because you have that little break there,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And then you have another 3 weekend off, and then you're kind of there. That gives teams a chance to refresh, because you have a lot of teams right now that took their bye week in week 4. 49ers took their bye week in week 4. They don't have another bye week unless they get home field advantage for the playoffs, right?
Sure.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
What are you doing giving anyone a bye week in week 4? What's the point?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
No, expand. If you're going to expand that out, do it right. Expand it out so that you've got you want to have the 18 games. Make sure you put in a couple of actual bye weeks in there, but you strategically utilize the Thursday games for that, right? Then you can have some things going.
The interesting thing that I guess I didn't realize is everybody in the league must play once.
Yeah.
Nobody plays twice. I don't think there's anybody that doubles up on Thursday, is there?
No, not on
I think
Thursdays.
there's just one.
Thursday nights, there's only one. I mean, the only, and that's why you're not going to see the Cowboys or the Lions on Thursday night football, unless it's like opening night of the year or something like that, because they've got the Thursday nighters on Thanksgiving, right?
That's right. Oh, that's right.
So Thanksgiving kind of throws them off
Takes
the loop.
that in. Yeah.
So.
I listened to Christian Fourier on one of the other radio stations.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't mind Thursday nights. He said because what happens is you play Sunday, and he said then it's shorts and T-shirts. He says it's everything's a walkthrough. You aren't going to put the pads on and hit anybody. And then you play Thursday. Then you got that nice long whatever. So the Patriots have this long break. They play 2 games, then they get a bye.
Right.
So before they face really the metal of their schedule, I got to be honest with you. This has been a pretty I don't want to say soft, but I don't think there's been any juggernauts that they've played. We expected the Steelers to be better, and we blew their doors off, and that was when they had everybody. The fact that they don't know how to coach them or they don't know how to keep them is another whole story.
Well, that's
altogether.
a whole other scenario for a whole
can of worms, isn't it?
yeah, that's a whole other scenario for a whole other
But
time.
you know, the thing that historically with the Pats, which is one of the reasons I'm kind of encouraged by this, September is when they usually stub their toe and go 2-2, and talk, people are jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge over it, that kind of thing, because they're figuring out what they're going to be. And I still say there's some of that because of the injuries. I don't think they know exactly what they want to do offensively. They really haven't consistently been able to run the football, mainly because they don't have a blocking tight end. I keep thinking they're going to say to one of those spare tackles, put 86 on and get out there.
Right.
Just block somebody.
You'd think.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And the time that Brady got sacked and he lost the ball because he held it too long, but they had Izzo in trying to block the defensive end, and he came all the way from the other side. He worked hard trying to do it, but he didn't know how to do it. I'm not sure Gronk would. Brady just simply held the ball too long. But anyway, I'm encouraged because usually September is when they last year they played. Well, they usually come out of there 2-2 or maybe 3-1 on a good year. Not coming into October 6-0. And I don't care. You play the schedule they give you.
You have to.
You play the division they tell you
And
from the
that's
other league, from the NFC or whatever, and they do have to play each of the division winners in the AFC, which they're going to do. So the fact that the Jets are a mess, Miami's a mess, that isn't their fault. And I think I've showed you the stats that showed when everybody says, well, they're in that tomato can division, no wonder their winning percentage is good. You should see the winning. It's not the best one. Their best winning percentage is against the NFC East, 850. It means they win pretty much every time.
And the only problem with that is that 0.15% always seems to be against the New York bleeping Giants.
When it was 14-14, I'm thinking, what is it about the Giants?
And guys are dropping like flies. Brady's looking all out of sorts. Everything looks terrible. I'm just like, what is happening? What is going on?
I want to know what paint that Belichick peeled in the locker room at halftime, because they're a whole different team in the second half.
You know what?
He makes his adjustments.
Speaking of that, that's a great segue. The interview I had with Oxford Hills Vikings head football coach Mark Soren. By the way, Kyler will be making his play-by-play debut tonight, by the way, on the Oxford Hills game. No pressure on that, by the way. Everybody listens to that game. Make sure you get your ins and reads right, and make sure you give your this is my on-air pep talk for Kyler. Make sure you give score and time all the time, right? Score and time, score and time. Just give the score and time, and you'll be fine. But anyways, nice little thing there.
Yes.
But I was talking with Coach Soren about that because you were at the game last week, you and Palmer, which, by the way, on my fridge on the way out, you're going to see the Coke Zero that says share a Coke with Palmer.
Oh, my God. Isn't that
I'm
great?
like,
Isn't
is
that
this
great?
really a thing? Did this really happen?
It made his whole week when
right.
you showed him that.
Oh, my goodness. Like, it actually, I should probably grab it before we leave and put it on camera, because when we put the coach's interview on, what I'll do is I'll just stick the Coke Zero here with Palmer on it, and you can just see it the whole time. I'll zoom right in on it. It'll be like, whoop, there it is.
That'll be good.
Right? That'll be good. He'll love that. That'll perk him right up. But Soren talked about how he talked to the team at halftime, and he said, "Guys, we're better than them. Like, what are we doing?" Right?
Yeah.
At the end of, you've had to have that speech for some of your teams before, right? Like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on?
I said to somebody, we went to Winslow in a game. They were, I think we were 5-0. They were 4-1. They were really good.
Right.
And we couldn't do it. We jumped offside. We had a horrible first half. I think we were down 7-0 at halftime, which for us was unbelievable. We scored a lot of points. We went out at halftime, and we're down a knee. I go, guys, what's going on? We've jumped offside. I know it's a big game, but you guys have been in big games. And same thing, I said, we're better than they are. Let's just go do it. So people were saying, I don't know what he said at halftime, but it was unbelievable. I said, Jesus, if you only knew, I didn't say anything.
Right?
What are you going to say? We're better than they are. I mean, you knew who to block. We line people up. Just go do it, Yeah.
Sometimes we can
Sometimes
unsimplify
those speeches.
things.
Sometimes those speeches are terrific.
Yeah.
You just never know. But sometimes it's them just feeling like, okay, we can do this.
Right.
I do feel, I don't know what Belichick says at halftime, but I think what happens is they make their adjustments. They're doing this. We need to do that. You need to look out for this. Very intellectual. They've all talked about the way that they handle their practices, the way that they do things, like, making adjustments at halftime. He's the best. There's a reason that they've been successful. He is the best in-game making adjustments of any team. No question.
So that was one of those ones last week too, against Edward Little. That was it was surprising to me that Oxford Hill struggled with them in the first. But we talked about this before we went on the air. Those dang Saturday games, Coach, right?
Yeah, I've been saying this since I played at Brewer. Brewer had lights way back. I won't tell you when I played there. They weren't still using the abacus, but it was pretty darn close to it.
Yeah.
And
they had just learned how to make fire for heat.
Yeah,
actually.
well, we had electricity.
I don't know if you were aware,
that was
but
big.
that was a huge time for us back then.
But I always said, I don't think there's any question. I thought the people that play at home on Saturdays have the advantage because they're used to it. They're used to what the routine looks like. It's an extra day of practice. And the routine when you get up on Saturday morning is different than what it is when you have school.
Oh, yeah.
I used to say it even threw us off a little bit when we had a teacher workshop day like today, and then you have a game tonight. What do they do all day? We used to have them come in, literally.
Well, you better.
If I had an assistant coach who wasn't in the school system that could get away, I'd have him come in, watch a film. Maybe we get some sandwiches made or whatever, just to get him out of laying on the couch all day, doing nothing, playing. Fortnite or whatever. It wasn't Fortnite in those days.
See, back in the old days, we'd be playing NBA Jam at my buddy.
Yeah,
Actually, what we tried to do, like when I did that in high school, is we would do this as the basketball team. Like we'd get together and go play video games somewhere. Like usually Sega Genesis, and just go do something before the game. And that way we're all kind of there,
I think now I probably would adjust to that better. At the time, there was no such thing.
At the time, probably not.
There was no such thing.
Probably big nose.
And,
yeah.
So anyway, but I think that they have the advantage because the Saturday teams are so excited to play on Friday night. It's incredible. When they get a chance to get in that Friday night air, it's electric. The fans are fired up. There's nothing like Friday night games or night games in general. And so for the teams that play Friday nights, it's a Friday night.
Right.
The teams that play Saturday, it's something special. And when the Friday night teams have to play in that weather, hot weather, and different routine on Saturday, I swear it throws you off. Well, I think they have an advantage.
Well, I think that's always helped for Levitt. That's why every time they're like, let's get those lights. I'm like, what are you? Stop trying to push for the lights. It's great, but like.
Well, I told him, I said,
well,
when I said to Cates was saying to me, he looked back over and he says, we still got the poles right there for our lights.
Right.
We haven't done anything with it. But you know what? Saturday night, you can go and scout all the teams you need to, because they can all scout you. But you know what I said? That's nothing today because everybody has huddle. They can see you play anytime they want. So it doesn't make any difference.
Anytime.
Sometimes you like to go and physically see a team, but you can do that over the course of 8 weeks. You can find a time. You can send an assistant to go see, a team. But I think that Saturday night at Levitt, for instance, where they've got on the practice football field, they've got all kinds of booths set up for the classes and the clubs and the whatever. Down the sideline are what they call prime spots, where you got to bid on them and et cetera, and it's kind of a lottery. But and there are games all weekend. Everybody plays at home. There's nobody. Oh, we got a game, but we're on the road. No, everybody plays at home.
Right.
That was always.
You're not doing the Bates from last year,
no,
right?
I'm sorry. Sorry, Bates. You can't have back to Bates and nobody's there to play.
Here's homecoming.
Except
Who's
one
playing?
team.
We got cross country this weekend, and they're actually running up at Rangeley. So yeah.
No, that was always a rule when I was an AD and when I was a principal. Find a way,
right?
Even if it's an on-conference game, I don't care. Find a way to have everybody play at home on that weekend.
Right.
Anyway, they do that, and it culminates with whatever the game is at Saturday night. I was telling Mike that when my daughter was a senior, I didn't arrange any games. I was the principal, but I didn't have anything to do with it. The field hockey team was the team to beat, and they played Windsor under the lights. That place was packed. Talk about the girls getting something really exciting. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
they never had that
Look, you
kind of
create some
people
type.
there.
Look, I don't care what the sport is. I don't care who's playing the sport. Doesn't matter to me. If you create the right atmosphere, people will show up, right? If
Yeah,
you
and
if
rotate
you
it.
if you understand that there's something big happening, like you can make that stuff going. You know what I mean? And you can do that for all of your programs, and then you're doing things the right way. So, by the way, I did want to shout out the good folks at Coney last week. We have discovered the secret sauce. Video stream Coney road games, okay? We set a single game regular season record for most streams in a game last week with that Coney Wyndham game. I don't mean to talk about that in terms of anything else other than the fact that the Coney folks this year, there's been a rule change up there talking about, you know, creating a broadcast policy so people can go to the games, which I understand completely. You've got to do the things that you've got to do when you take things over, and that's fine. That doesn't mean to be that. But it was nice to see, and I'm glad I could get one of their games. The plan was to get two of the Coney games. They're not really like perfectly in our market, but they usually overlap a little bit. We try to get those overlappers in there a couple of times. So we got Poland and Levitt last week. We'll have some Levitt stuff for the playoffs as well, I'm guessing. Probably once the Lewis and Edward Little seasons come to an end, that'll probably open up a little bit for those, and then we'll have some stuff we can do there. So very exciting stuff. But want to thank the folks that tuned into Coney Wyndham last week. That was kind of, it was one of those games. Let's go. Well, that'd be a good one, right? I looked down during our game last night,
Yeah.
last week, and I'm like, what? How many people are watching this thing? Like, I hadn't seen numbers like that since regional finals a couple of years ago. Like, not that we don't have numbers. It's just like, that's a big one just to stick out there like that for that one. And that was that's a 9-6 ball game on kind of a sloppy night. So good to see Wyndham and Coney. And it's good, some of these reclassifications have really brought in some stuff. I think Wyndham is a really good fit for Class B now. I mean, they did fine in Class A for years, but if this is the way the new Class A is going to be, I think Wyndham fits in better in Class B. I think it works for them.
Yeah, I think in their, like everybody, their enrollment's gone down a little bit, and now, there's plenty of places to build houses in Wyndham, so they're in that area, so they may go back up. But right now, their enrollment's down a little bit, and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, that'll be an every few years thing.
By the way, speaking of,
I don't think they're going to go to Class C though.
Oh, no.
I don't think that's going to happen.
That's where they came from, by the way. I remember there was a dinky little school, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa! They really grew like crazy.
Doesn't take long.
I think we're going to get a break on the weather. Knock on wood.
You think so?
They were talking about it being really bad tonight.
Well, and that was kind of, this is why a lot of people asked this week, and this is for you, TA, all day in the MBR forums. Of course, in the forums, they wait for the schedules each week, like who are we doing, who are we doing, who are we doing. And I try to have everything done in advance, but at the same time, I also know and understand completely that when the weather changes, I can't send people out to... I can't send people out to do a game with thousands of dollars worth of equipment and be like, hey, I'm going to need you guys to just hang outside no matter what, right? And you can't just stick a tent up in the stands. Like, those tents are not big. They're not, and a lot of these places don't have press boxes. Like, I'm sending a crew tonight to that Gorham game that, we don't know what they're going to have for whatever. You know what I mean?
That might be one that's a little on the edge. Yeah.
Like, it's kind of on the edge of things. And you're like, well, you can do what you can do, right? So, you've got the, I mean, my goal then, if everything was bad, you know what? We have one radio game. We have, all the radio games. Then we have one video game, which would be Lewiston, because they have the press boxes to accommodate us. Yeah. Walton Field has a press box there, but you can't, it's kind of tough to video there right now. We are going to have something good for. We are going to have something really good for the final game at Walton Field for Lewiston Edward Little at the end of the year. So, going to be partnering up with our friends at Great Falls TV and hopefully have a bunch of different replays and angles and things of that nature. So.
This is homecoming at Spirit Week homecoming at EL. And they're playing Bangor. That game time, by the way, is 7:30.
7 o'clock pregame on Z1055 tonight.
Some kind of bus issue, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but anyway, Bangor needs to come a little bit later.
A lot of these bus issues are the fact they don't have a lot of bus drivers nowadays. Like, hi, if you can legally drive big vehicles, just go do it, because like the kids could utilize that help at any point in time. Just an FYI, folks. Just an FYI. I got a thing from my school for RSU 16 this week, and it was like, hey, so we have a backup scenario here. So if there's ever a scenario where we can't do blank, like, really? Like, oh, yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, kids. It's a real
Now, talk
thing.
about complicated. At Oak Hill, it's a CSD, community school district, and so the individual towns with their own elementary schools, they have their own school board. Most of those members also serve on the board at Oak Hill, but the towns control their own buses. So they contract with the high school to send their kids to the high school with their buses. And what Oak Hill did besides that was they bought a couple buses of their own, and they hired 2 separate drivers just to do the sports teams. So most of those sports teams have the same drivers all the time. So it's a great relationship where they want to be involved in doing sports and whatever, they wouldn't bother to do it. Because you know how that is. It's supper time, it's at night, it's who knows where in the middle of winter you got a basketball game on a Tuesday night and so on. But it actually, for a long, long time, has been a really good relationship.
Patriots are off. They played last night. I don't know what you guys are going to do this weekend. I expect to see multiple apple picking pictures from this weekend.
The honey-do list.
The honey-do list stuff is going to be happening.
Get down a little bit on the honey-do list.
Wish you the best of luck on that. Next weekend, planning on bringing something back. Next weekend, planning on bringing back the old, what do they call it? The Black Bear road trips, actually. The plan right now, as it stands today, barring any sort of disaster, is I will head down next week to watch Maine play at Liberty Saturday night at 6 o'clock.
Nice.
Here in, I'll be interested to see how that football program is. And then the next day, I'm working on a project, but I'm trying to
work it together.
Wiggle my way over to. I have to take a flight out of Washington D.C. that day, and it just so happens that my boy Jimmy G and the 49ers are playing the Redskins that day. So
I think that's a must.
I think I need to stop by and just see how things are there.
Wish him well.
Just maybe fist bump George Kittle or something.
I think that's worth.
I figure, and then
red eye coming home,
and then fly back, Sunday night and be good. Now, I'd really, if I didn't have if I didn't have children, of course, children who need things, right? Yeah. Right. If I didn't have that, I would just finagle my way up the coast a little bit for Jets Patriots on Monday Night Football the next night, but I can't do another day.
Yeah.
Right. I can't. That's not going to work. It's going to be a no.
And you do have 5 dogs.
And I do. Well, no, I've only got the 2 here now. Oh. Remember, yeah. So that's not fine. That's good. And the cat takes care of everything.
Yeah.
Basically.
There you go.
I've been waiting for this one to pop for a little bit. We are going to take a break. You're going to see the screen go black for just a little bit, okay? Just a little tiny bit as we start playing the Football Friday podcast, and then we will be bringing up the Ryan Palmer Coke so that you know everything's happening. The Football Friday podcast is upcoming. You'll be able to hear that right here. Just turn up your volume. You won't see me and Coach Wing any longer, but that'll be okay. Also, Yankees will lose in 4 games to the Astros. Thank you.
No, get it over quick.
4 games. Just get it over quick and move on. I don't want to. I don't need another Game 7. I don't need it.
Going to Game 5 meant they can't start with their number 1 pitcher though against the Yankees.
That's my only hope.
Yeah.
But even then, I just don't. I don't have any faith that this Yankees team is really going to hit when it counts.
I got to be honest with me either.
I don't have any faith in it. And if they do, great. If they do, then I know they're onto something. No. But if they just do what they've always done, which is really hope for that home run, especially with these non-juiced balls.
I'm still not sure about their pitching, but that's another whole story.
That's a whole nother scenario, right?
If we were having a regular show, we'd be talking about that.
Oh, yeah. We would be.
For a while.
For a good long time, in fact. Yes. A good long time. Oh, boy. I can't even tell you. All right, so we will come in and get that done, and it's time for us to hear from some coaches because it's that time here on the Football Friday podcast.
By the way, I did wear my main hat, so get ready to go to homecoming tomorrow.
Getting ready. Getting ready. Good.
Picking up Walker.
The place to get all your high school and amateur sports news and information. MBR.org is in high gear with Maine High School winter sports. Go to MBR.org to chat about your favorite team. Find the latest articles, travel news, and cancellations. Or visit their all-new and very popular team pages. MBR.org has everything you want to know about high school and amateur sports in Maine. Coming in February, all the high school tournament action at your fingertips 24/7. It's high school sports heaven. All aboard MBR.org.
I'm here with Dave Sterling, head football coach at Edward Little High School. Coach, I was over there for the homecoming game at Oxford Hills. You know, that first half took advantage of a break you got, punched in a touchdown, nice throw in the corner of the end zone, and 14-7 at half. I sure wish that the onside kick had come out differently.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ruling one against us.
Yeah, they felt that they was touched on that side of the 50.
No, they felt that we didn't give them an opportunity to field the ball. And
There's no such rule.
That's exactly what I read with the rule book as well. So, but
it's like a fumble. There's no such thing. It's fair game.
Unless they call for a fair catch, it's fair game.
And they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Wow,
so,
that's what they call?
Yeah.
So is that what the penalty was?
Yes, sir.
I know the penalty looked like pushing.
No.
I said to Ryan Palmer, I said, there's no way Sterling pushed anybody.
Exactly.
I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. So it was but you know, things happen. They make, sometimes refs make calls that you may not agree with, but that's part of the game. You got to move forward.
Well, it does, except, for a team that's struggling, to have not only the call go against you, when it could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
And then to turn around and have a 15-yard penalty. Now the ball's at the 36, going in.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a horrible turnaround.
Yeah,
for a team that I'm sure on the sideline, you guys felt you had the ball.
Exactly. But that's part of football,
No, it is.
We do that, and you probably saw that in practice. If you were here a few minutes ago, we had the quarterback throw the ball, and I yelled out somebody was holding on the play. We're backing the ball up 10 yards.
Yeah.
And the guys have to be prepared for that.
Sure.
I'll call out whoever I want to during practice and say, okay, you got caught for holding. And they'll, they weren't, but that's part of the game. Sometimes it will happen.
The only thing that I saw them do because I've seen them a couple times, one place or another, at Bonnie Eagle and at home, was wham blocking. With either the back, the other back, or the tight end.
Number 44 or number 87. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I thought they did differently that I hadn't seen before.
No, they had done that. They had done that consistently.
Oh, they had. Okay.
So that was something that they're very good at. They've got two very good athletes that can execute it. So
Oh yeah,
they
Worcester
did well.
or Fiero, is that how you say his name?
I don't know
something like that.
it.
So Bangor this week, and the game's been moved to 7:30. I understand.
Sir. Yep.
Because Coach Morris says they're a little improved from where they were a couple years ago.
They've got an excellent quarterback, throws the ball extremely well. I believe it's Nat Clark's son. From what I understand.
It is?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Don't quote me on that.
No, but I'm probably right, yeah.
But he throws the ball extremely well. They have a very, very good running back. They have an excellent receiver in number 7. Gets down the field. They've got some good, talented athletes.
Now, is this Spirit Week, homecoming?
Yes, it's homecoming
It is.
week.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Good.
We have a bigger event at the last game against Lewiston.
Sure.
Because they're having a lot of people here for that game.
They're saying the last time that game will be played here. Is that's the rumor?
I'm not getting into that.
I was going to say, where they think you're playing.
Exactly. Anyways, moving along.
Yeah, okay.
We're on to Bangor.
Yeah, so back just one more back to last week. Anybody in particular, either a unit or kids that you thought played well?
Well, you could see we changed up the offense some. We worked a little bit more option. Giles Parody as well as Jack Keefe did a great job running that. And we had two really good guys that are excellent athletes that are tight ends, and John Shea and Cam Irish, and they stepped up their game, and we were able to lean on them. And if you looked at time of possession, we possessed the ball a lot more than Oxford Hills, and we were able to slow the game down in the first half. And we just need to get a little bit better execution on our blocking, and we'll those two young men helping our offense and helping block for people like Tyson Green, good future.
Yeah, I think so. And boy, Parody's a big kid.
Yeah, he is.
When he turns the corner, I'll tell you
He
what,
is, yep.
the halfbacks aren't anxious to
Yeah,
tackle
well, we
him. I
haven't
don't
had him
believe.
for most of the year.
Yeah.
He's been injured. He's been, trying to get through a few things, and to have him, become a leader now in the team has been excellent for him.
Sure. Well, Coach, good luck.
Thank you, Coach.
I think Maddie's maybe doing some adjusting because of the weather. I'm scheduled to do Bonnie Eagle Lewiston, but who knows? Sometimes I'm not sure till about noontime where I'll be, but I'd like to be here. But anyway, thanks. I appreciate it. Good luck.
Have a great weekend.
If you are a coach, a booster, a PTA leader, Maine Athletic Fundraising is the choice to help you make money. Maine Athletic Fundraising works with both high school and youth programs of all ages to make you the most amount of money in the least amount of time. No risk, no minimums. Mark Smith and his staff will walk you through every step of their plan to help you meet your financial goals. Call them today, 207-468-1759, or check them out online, MaineAthleticFundraising.com.
I'm here with Spencer Emerson, head football coach at Poland Regional High School. You know what, Coach, I was going to say, I really appreciate your taking the time to do our interview at Longhorns last week. I felt disappointed. They took him a while to get it up and running, and then the ambient noise from the next tables and whatever kind of didn't make it quite as great, but I thought it was still great. I thought the kids did a great job.
Absolutely, it was about that was great. It was great to see Brady Downing over there and see Wyatt and them talk a little bit of football and talk about themselves and each other. It was great, and it was just a fun time. Yeah,
I thought that they would both be spooked when we said, "Okay, you need to critique the other guys." I was like, "Whoa, man, no problem." They knew exactly.
They're both really smart kids.
Now, did Brady go to the elite passing camp?
He did. He's gone there for the last 2 years.
They would have seen each other there too.
Yeah.
I went down to that one day and watched it. Pretty good drills.
Oh, they do a good job. I mean, Mike and Cooper and BL, they're three of the best coaches in Maine. They're in the top tier of play callers, especially offensive play callers.
And I said, the technique, even on passing, I was a quarterback and played at Maine and whatever. I was taught if you're going to throw a long pass and you want to drop it in, you drop your back shoulder.
Yeah.
That technique's gone.
No,
they don't do that at all.
Stay tall. Stay tall and finish, right? Hips through the shoulders and the release point high. And
so everything has changed when you think about coaching from the past and now. I mean, we were taught always when I was in high school and college, shoulder block.
Knock your hands out in front of yourself now.
People would go, what? What is that? How do you do that?
Yeah.
So tell us, I know the game didn't turn out exactly you want, and this is maybe a little message to your kids who listen to this. Building a program, I think people assume just because you get a great coach and a great staff, oh, no problem. It's going to be no problem. Well, that isn't the way it works, is it? I mean, there's just so many other factors.
No, it's tough, right? It's all about perspective. And we talked a lot about, our situation. We have a tough schedule. I mean, you can calculate the crab trees. And I think the teams we've played, I think, have lost 2 games. Well, aside from Lake Region, the teams that have beat us have lost a combined 2 games, and we're in week 6. So, we're talking about really good programs we're playing, and just high level of coaching, high level of talent, rich tradition. And we're still a new program. We're still in the infant stage. We're in year 2. I've had 1 full off season with these guys. It's tough, and I talk a lot about guys about sticking with it. You know what I mean? And it's hard because you want to see the results in the win column, but sometimes you got to understand that the work is worth it. And I saw a great quote today. It said, you either hate losing enough to work hard, or you hate hard work enough to accept losing.
Oh,
and I said it to my guys. Losing is what it is, but if you're working hard, you'll be all right. And not accepting it, you'll be just fine.
And I've been on. You coach long enough, you're on each end of those things. I don't care who you are. You're gonna have some years that, nah. And I said I thought I did some of my best coaching when we were about 500.
Yeah.
There are a lot that were better than that, but those years that we didn't have, things didn't work out, or the schedule was whatever. We opened up at home against South Portland and then at Biddeford.
Yeah,
and had a really young team. Yeah, that'll throw you out real quick.
Absolutely. No, but obviously, but last week was a good, You watch the tape and you look at the landscape of football in Maine and you realize, we played a program in Leavitt that's at the top of if you're going to break it up between big school, small school, they're probably as good as it gets for small school football in Maine, them and Wells. So it's one of those things where, we've seen it. We've seen the best. We see what it takes to play with the best, and we were outmatched, I think, physically. I wish we would have came a little bit better prepared mentally and a little bit more focused. But, you can't change the past, and we've got a big game this Saturday.
Well, when I was talking to, I interview Coach Hathaway on Tuesdays, he was saying, yeah, it's that way right this minute, but he said, people forget, 3 years ago, we were 2-7.
Yeah,
he said 2-7. He said the only reason we got that extra game is because everybody made the playoffs.
Right.
He said so. He said we had a small group of seniors, and he said all of a sudden there's your leadership, and it wasn't up to what we would normally expect. So, yeah, I think that's the hard thing, and too many times fans and parents and kids don't understand all of that. They see wins and losses, and they see, well, that team's really good. Well, you know what? They've had their ups and downs too.
Absolutely. It's like I said. I try to talk to my players about this, and us as a staff, we talk about it a lot. It's perspective, right? Who you play, when you play them. A lot of things factor into a win-loss. We're a 1-4 football team. Do I think we're a 1-4 program? No, but that's where we stand currently. And you're only as good as it's a one for you, done for me lately sport. But we still got 3 games left in the season. We want to finish strong. And like I said, the wins and losses, those are the things. But if we're playing hard, we're doing it the right way. We can live with that. It's when you lose and you have those controllable mistakes that you make. That's the tough part.
I want to keep it in perspective. When I was in Skowhegan, we were a B school. And Madison was our rival. Madison, Carraback, they were all together. And Carraback hadn't split out yet. And they were a really big C school. And I went to scout them, and they actually played Leavitt Hornets at Madison. So I went to scout it just to see what it looked like. You ready for this? Leavitt had on socks that the stripes went up and down, not around. And I looked at that, and I went, what?
Yeah.
And Madison just crushed him.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, this is something else.
Right.
Anyway, okay, so tell me this week.
Freiburg Academy.
You have Freiburg. It's a Saturday game.
Yes, sir. Down in Freiburg.
And
1:30 kick.
they since the younger Turner has been there, he won't appreciate me saying that. But his dad coached there a long time and did a terrific job.
Yep.
They've had some really, really good defensive teams.
Yeah. They're stout. They run a 52. It's very, very, very fundamentally sound. They don't leave a lot of spots on the field open. They played for a gold ball last year. It's a program that's had some success. They're very well coached. But we feel like it's one of those weeks where if we come out and execute, we'll be in the football game. I think they're similar to us in terms of the way they're built. They got a lot of talent. Around the skill positions, a lot of different guys that can do things. The quarterback makes the whole show go, number 20, and then their big number 8, their tight end DN. Man, that kid he's a load. But last week we played 2 big tight ends, so hopefully we can manage the load versus 1. But like you said, every week in Class C it's a grind. But playing a very well coached team and defensively they're sound. It's a 52. There's no smoke screens. You know what you're coming. But they tackle and they're physical.
Yeah, I did the playoff game they had against Leavitt last year where they beat them. Of course, Hathaway got hurt,
right,
and they had to go to the number 2Q. He played okay, but just not quite the same. Well, Coach, good luck, and I appreciate you coming out to talk again.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll do another Longhorn get-together at some point.
Sounds good to me.
It was fun.
Thanks, Dave.
There's a winning culture when it comes to sports teams in New England. And now there's a new winning team to add to the list. Spectrum Orthopedics, an all-star roster of orthopedic experts delivering top care right here in your backyard. Spectrum Orthopedics is made up of 3 of the area's top orthopedic practices: OA Centers for Orthopedics, Central Maine Orthopedics, and Falmouth Orthopedic Center. Spectrum Orthopedics makes it easier for physicians, surgeons, sports medicine specialists, and clinical staff to share resources and work as one, making patient care efficient and more affordable. To learn more about Spectrum Orthopedics and connect with a provider in your area, visit spectrumhcp.com/ortho.
I'm here with Lewiston head football coach Darren Hartley. Coach, I'm looking at the write-up of the game against Sanford, and I swear I don't want to say the word carbon copy, but you guys play really well. You do some really good things, but it doesn't show in the final score.
Correct. It is kind of a broken record for us. Last week was even more glowing or glowering, or however you want to say it. We really controlled the entire first quarter, turned the ball over on the half-yard line, would have gone in, been up 2 scores to none. Really dominated the first quarter to Sanford's quarter. They hung in the game. They were playing without their star athlete at quarterback. And our kids came out, were loose and took advantage of that. And, you know, I think it just could have been a different game if we'd have finished off that second drive and really made them trail from 2 scores down. But we did the same things. We had a couple defensive breakdowns. They took the lead. We answered again. Another defensive breakdown come out. And again, the data doesn't lie. We controlled the third quarter, scored 2 touchdowns to 1, came back, got back in the game within a touchdown with about 11 minutes left in the game, and attrition took over. We got a couple of guys dinged up, and kind of that was the rest. The rest was history.
I said this. I did Oxford Hills, Yale at Oxford Hills on Saturday, homecoming, and same thing. You know, first half, Yale played real well. It was 14-7 halftime, and then events turned. And those teams, as you said, your team's young. They're not used to winning, even though they're playing well. And then all of a sudden, boom, they get overwhelmed, and the game turns the other way. And eventually, you know, you got to feel that the work you guys are putting in and the attention to detail, whatever, will pay off.
Yeah, we hope so. You know, like I said, nobody can hide from the 8-team schedule in Class A. And, of course, we had a couple of great, or we'll have with Lawrence coming up later, a couple of good B schools too. But our kids have been energetic and they've been positive. They know what's against them. I mean, nobody's stupid here. But coming off that tough loss against Sanford, having already played TA with a rugged, you know, fully athletic and physical Bonnie Eagle team, the kids have been positive. They've worked hard in practice. We've done our film study. Bonnie Eagle's not going to fool you. They're just outstanding. They're loaded. Great coaching. And we just got to try to show up and, you know, darn it, play four quarters of football Friday night, and we're going to try to do that.
I mean, the Meredith kid at quarterback and the kid that's played some quarterback, some running back, he comes in motion. He threw against Oxford Hills. He threw a halfback option pass for a touchdown.
Right.
They're a tough team. They lost to Thornton by touchdown. So that'll be a good tilt. I don't know. Do you think weather would make a difference? It's supposed to be iffy.
No, I think that with them, you know, they're just so deep and physical, and they want to run the quarterback as much as they want to run their tailback. I think they want to throw on schedule just to kind of maintain the chains. But if they could rush for 350 yards every Friday night, I think that's what they do. So I don't think weather is going to be a factor for the Bonnie Eagle team. They're just going to come out and do what they do, establish the off-tackle game, the zone read, and go from there.
They did something that, because I've seen them play a couple of times, they did something in the second half of that game against Oxford Hills that I hadn't seen earlier in the year, and that was the wham block from the other back. Now, sometimes it's the tight end who's looks like a running back, and sometimes it's a fullback type.
Correct.
But it looks like it's going to be a read. The guy comes across, it's a wham block on a trap, and it's a counter, and boy, did that open up.
Right, wow. We call it power. They run a nice, they pull the backside guard, and they roll him up inside, and sometimes they double that. I mean, that's how TA kind of took over the game in the fourth quarter against them last week. TA just ran off tackle, and they couldn't stop it. And, you know, it was a simple scheme, and really they couldn't stop it. And obviously we're going to try to address the off-tackle game and see where we go from there.
Kids, any kids that you want to single out that you thought played really well?
My quarterback.
Or
again,
unit, maybe?
Yeah, but, you know, Dylan Jackson's just a tough kid. We went for almost 340 yards in total offense. You know, the offense has sputtered at times, but having over 300 yards in total offense, I just thought the offense really, you know, played well the whole game. We made a couple turnovers, of course, that shoots us in the foot. But when we're not turning the ball over, we're kind of going on, you know, almost all cylinders. We're on schedule. We feel pretty good about that.
Sounds like you have some skilled kids.
Yeah, we do. We can balance out people. We can spread the field. Our quarterback's got a live arm. He's got great feet. We like our tailback. Of course, Danny May, who's our fullback, tailback, and inside linebacker's out. He had an injury on Friday night. Won't play this week, which is tough for us. He's a tough kid to try to fill in for sure. But we just go the next guy up and let's go. And again, our depth is okay, so we're going to show up and get after it.
This will finally be. I'll be here.
Good. If you've got any ideas, just send them down during the game.
Jeff Benson and I will be here
Great,
for that one. It'll
great.
be good to be back. I did a game early with Jeff, and it'd be good to be with him. I don't know. Maddie's still deciding about. It looks like the weather. It's harder to video if the weather's bad.
Right.
And we can't video live from here anyway.
I see.
Well, what we have to do is we have to send it Facebook Live out of town and then send it. So it's a little bit delayed anyway. But we will be on the radio, 105.5.
Good.
In Benson and Wing. So that'll be fun. And I'm looking for a good game. I think.
Yeah, I am too. Again, if we show up and we just relax and do our job, we're going to hang around with them. We got to play physical to the best of our physical ability. We understand what we're up against with their physicality, but we're a quick, athletic team, and hopefully we can put them over a barrel a few times on Friday night.
Coach, one other question. The other coaches have expressed some concern about it. What are you finding for JV and freshman games? Are you able to fill out a schedule, or are you playing the same teams?
No, our schedule's been perfect. We haven't had any issues whatsoever so far. We are going to accommodate one of our partners over there in Oxford County on Monday. They're going to come over to Bonnie Eagle and play a three-way. Yep. We could not accommodate one team before because we had another scheduled game and we played it. But our schedule's been perfect. But I will tell you this, that, I wouldn't want the job of the athletic administration at all, but I can tell you this. I think this is an open, transparent communication that's a year-round thing. And I think it starts in January. I think coaches and ADs need to communicate, and especially at the lower levels, even if it's within an hour of your program, let's just go out and find these teams that are going to show up and play.
Levitt's doing three-way scrimmages almost every time now. In Class C, either the teams don't want to travel that far, like York or whatever.
Sure, and I understand that.
Or the other team doesn't have enough kids, so they've been doing a three-way with whoever can do it.
Yes, these guys don't listen.
Going back to what we need to do with the enrollments dropping, not only in football generally, but I think in all the other sports too, we're going to see it. But also, our schools are dropping in enrollment. We've always said it's got to be the classifications by numbers only, and I just don't believe that we can look at it that way anymore. I think at some point in time we need to say, what's the strength of your program? And if you've been down for 15 years, maybe somebody needs to drop you down.
Our goal at Maine Athletic Fundraising is to raise you the most amount of money in the shortest period of time, hassle-free.
To learn more, visit them online at maineaf.com.
I'm here with Oak Hill football coach Stacey Doucette. Coach, it looks like, looking at the box score, if you will, that the game against Madison kind of went the way you felt it might.
Yeah, I thought we'd have I was kind of hoping that we would start off strong early, and the kids responded well, and the kids had a very good game after a week bye. We went back to fundamentals. It was effective for us.
You said that during the week you went back to the fundamentals, you did more conditioning, more hitting. Is that a blueprint for the rest of the year, or was that just because you had a bye?
I don't know if we can be as physical as you really want to be nowadays. Class D football, we don't have high numbers. The weather, the ground is not as sure. The footing's not as the way it used to be. The grass, there's always wet grass, or always dew, or mud, so you gotta be careful. You gotta make sure you have a good surface. So I think this time of year, it's more about getting in the scheme, the plan, and repetition, so the kids understand it.
Now you said, I think you were quoted in the paper saying that it really was all of your backs really had a pretty good week.
Yeah, I thought all the backs did. We run 2, 3, sometimes 4 backs. We expect them all to work hard and all to understand the concepts. We expect them to push each other. We expect them to block for each other. And they did a pretty good job this week.
Yeah, it sounded like it was pretty even. I mean, all 4 of them really were.
Yeah, they all did a pretty good job. They're fighting for reps.
There you go. Well, that's what you want.
And they know it.
Yeah, that's what you want. Tell me about Bucksport.
Arguably the best team in Class D. They have probably the best offensive line. One of the better offensive lines I've seen in C or D. They're very physical. They do a really good job getting off the ball. Their running backs all have size. They carry out their fakes. They all run behind their shoulder pads. It's an old school football team, very well coached. They run to their scheme perfectly. Good football team.
What kind of, I mean, a lot of teams run on the spread now. What kind of an offense are they running?
They run a straight T offense, power I. They'll break the T at times. At times they'll go bunch, at times they'll go shotgun. So they run exotic, old school football. It's good, tough football. You can really appreciate how hard they work. They run behind their pads too. Good running backs.
Now, I don't remember which year, but you played them for the state championship.
2013, yeah.
2013. Same coach?
Yes.
So have they changed much? What would you say?
I think, no, not really, but they had a dynamic player back then that they had in the slot. And they used to try to get him the ball in very many ways. And he was dynamic out there. He was a special player. I mean, above good. He was terrific. Anybody that had him on his team, no matter what the scheme was, you're trying to get the ball in his hands. I don't know if anybody had that type of kid in our league nowadays. Good football player. So I think their scheme's pretty much the same, all in all, though.
And how about you? Do you guys feel you've changed much since 13?
Yeah, I think we have to change with our talent. We've done many different things, but yeah, I think we've changed a little bit. We add to our plan or scheme a little bit here and a little bit there. Basically the scheme for the week, though, has not changed. Every week is day by day and week to week, and try to work a little harder every day. Try to beat the team we're going to play on Friday night every day of the week.
Now, they play under the lights, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll be, how long a trip?
By car, it's 2 hours, so by bus, we're expecting 2:20. Probably stop and hit a restroom. So we're going to plan ahead.
Now, you bring sandwiches with you, or?
We're probably going to bring snacks. We eat before. We're going to eat before we leave. Because there's no school that day, so we're going to feed the kids a meal.
Oh, no school.
We're going to feed the kids a meal here.
Teacher workshop? Yeah. Oh, that's right, holiday Monday. Well, Coach, good luck. I'll wait to see the score, and then, I can't remember, is it the next 2 weeks that I'm here? I think we've got your next 2 games on video.
Yep.
Which will be fun.
Yep.
AJ and I. That should be fun.
That'd be fun.
Be good to see him.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck.
Yep.
There's a winning culture when it comes to sports teams in New England. And now there's a new winning team to add to the list. Spectrum Orthopedics, an all-star roster of orthopedic experts delivering top care right here in your backyard. Spectrum Orthopedics is made up of 3 of the area's top orthopedic practices: OA Centers for Orthopedics, Central Maine Orthopedics, and Falmouth Orthopedic Center. Spectrum Orthopedics makes it easier for physicians, surgeons, sports medicine specialists, and clinical staff to share resources and work as one, making patient care efficient and more affordable. To learn more about Spectrum Orthopedics and connect with a provider in your area, visit spectrumhcp.com/ortho.
I'm here with Chris Cates, head football coach at Lisbon High School. Coach, I saw the reports. It looked like back and forth, pretty darn exciting.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, until the fourth quarter, I mean, we'd score once, they'd score. They ended up going up up in the second quarter, and they went up in the third quarter. But then we were able to kind of lock down a little bit in the fourth quarter, and kind of establish our run game a little bit and control the clock and get out of there with a win.
So you really think that maybe was the turning point, being able to run the ball and control the clock?
Yeah. Well, we only passed 3 times, so we.
Okay, that pretty much tells it.
Yeah, we run shotgun sets, but we're a pretty run heavy team. So it's if things are going well for us, I mean, we're not going to put the ball in the air too many times, but we had a couple shots where we thought we had guys open that we didn't hit, and kind of hit the point in the game where we didn't have to go back to pass, thankfully.
Having been a quarterback, as much as I like to throw the ball, 3 things happen and 2 of them are bad. So
absolutely. Well, and I was a quarterback myself too, so I like to throw the ball just as much as anybody. But it's to your point, there's a lot of bad that can happen.
Yeah, and most high school football games are won and lost by mistakes and penalties, and those kind of things. And if you're carrying the rock and doing it well,
right,
no sense changing that.
Right, absolutely. And we thought we had some good matchups in the run game, and we were able to kind of maximize our read game a little bit too. They had some good athletes on the other side, so we were able to kind of isolate them and not block them and get some big plays off of it.
So it seems to me when you had the 2 Francis guys, it was kind of I formation some and pitch and handoff. So you've gone to a little bit more of a spread, or are you?
Well, we've been more spread for the past since I took over as a head coach. We've been spread's been more of our base, but I mean we still run some under center power stuff, and pretty much we're gonna attack however we think we have the best advantage. And
sure.
To me it doesn't really matter if we're under center or if we're 5 wide. We're just trying to get an edge on game day, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sure. Sometimes it doesn't.
Particular kids that had been some kids that stood out in order to control the ball when the game's going on?
Yeah, I think our 3 primary runners in this game, Seth Lehman at quarterback, I think he had a real solid game, controlling the huddle and doing a good job there. Cam Bourget had 28 or 29 carries, 100 yards, had a nice game there. And Daytona McIver, 15 carries, he had like 115 yards, something like that. So, 3 primary ball carriers there, and they accounted for 99% of 300 yards rushing that we had in the game.
Wow. How about anybody up front? Any kids that stood out that you said, wow, when they opened some holes?
Yeah, I think both our guards did a real nice job. We get them out in space sometimes, and they're not real big kids, but they're athletic, and they're tough, and they pretty strong kids for their size. So I think Daniel Bolton and Colin Houle did a nice job there, and they've definitely gotten better as the weeks have gone on.
Now, if I'm right in thinking this, Spruce Mountain was undefeated going in.
They were, yeah.
So that's a really good win and some good heel points.
Well, especially after the performance or lack thereof against Winthrop that we had the week before. So it's always good to kind of rebound a little bit and hopefully get back on track. And I think our kids kind of took it to heart, and we had a real nice week of practice, and had a good one yesterday, even in spite of the rain. So hoping we can keep the train rolling a little bit.
Oh, it did rain, didn't it, yesterday? Oh, yeah. Holy smokes! You practice outside or go inside?
We did. We came a little bit outside, and then we went inside for our film and lift and stuff. But it's supposed to be kind of wet all week, so we need to kind of simulate the wet ball, and it's.
Yeah, I think, boy, you do need to do that, because in Maine you just never know what the weather's going to be. You have no idea.
Well, especially where we're not always under center. We do a lot of shotgun type stuff, and you don't want to have to get out of your total game plan just because it's raining a little bit. So you have to practice that type of environment. And we saw last year in the playoffs that it's kind of a neutralizer that can change a lot of things. So it's better to be prepared than sorry.
Now, Coach, who do you have this week?
We're at York, so it's another tough week for us.
Another tough one.
Yeah, going down there for 6 p.m. start, and tough place to play. And I've seen them play a couple weeks in a row. I saw them play Lovett, and I saw them play Lake Region last week. So it's very solid team. Good passing attack, and pretty athletic up front. So it'll be a tough test for us.
Yeah, I know. When I talked to Coach Hathaway, he said he thought that they would give them quite a test, and I think it was maybe a little more lopsided than people thought it might be, but they're a good football team. Right.
Well, I think Levitt has some real good athletes on the edge too, where they're able to neutralize the passing game a little bit. And not that we don't have good athletes, but I think we're spread a little more thin than they are, and they had a nice game plan against them as well.
Now, a 6 o'clock start, is that something they've been doing down there a little bit?
They've been doing that all year. A couple of those Southern Maine schools are kind of leaning that direction now. Me personally, I'd rather be at 7 just because of how long it takes to get down there, and but.
Well, yeah, and the full effect of the lights. If you're going to bother to play into the lights, that 6 o'clock, it's kind of in between. You get part of the game is lights and part isn't. I think that's a little disconcerting.
Yeah, so the game I went down to last week, they I want to say it was sometime in the first quarter when so it kind of resembled an early season 7 o'clock game. And we're almost hitting the point of daylight savings here in a few weeks anyway. So it's getting dark early. And
did they have? What's the sense for why they want to start at 6?
I think a lot of these teams are doing it just so they get kids home early. They're not out too late. But I think even with a 7 p.m. start, I mean you're
Friday night.
You're still done by 9:30, and me personally, I prefer the 7 o'clock. But
I always laugh when they do something like that in football season. In basketball, they're out 2 nights a week.
Right, oh, yeah. And and I think I can't really say much though, because I think a lot of teams probably hate coming here at 1:30 on a Saturday. So it's
yeah, it's interesting. I used to say, if you made me really testify, I would say that I thought Saturday teams had the advantage because kids really like to play at night, and you can feel the energy and whatever. So you get that boost. Kids that play every Friday night, and it's another Friday night. I mean, they're excited. They hate to play on Saturday, teams that play on Friday night. So I always used to say the Saturday teams have an advantage. Well, I'm not sure they see it that way. But
and I think just being familiar with how to structure a practice plan for an extra day of practice, and a lot of coaches get into their routine, and they do things on certain days, and when you add an extra day of practice into the mix, it changes things a little bit. And me personally, I'd rather have that extra day every single week to prepare.
Sure.
But
see, and it's interesting. I guess I leaned a little bit the other way. I liked the shorter week, more intense, get it done, and then give the kids a little more time with their family. Now, a lot of Saturdays, if we played at home, we used to have the young kids have a clinic. We provide cider and donuts and whatever, and invite the coaches and the young kids up and do a clinic and check our injuries and those kind of things. But in essence, from then on, from mid-morning on, they had the rest of the weekend to themselves. Right. So I kind of like that.
But where we only roster about 45 kids, so Monday's kind of a lot. I don't want to say it's a lost day, 'cause I mean it's a good work day for us. We're driving the sled and stuff. Sure. But you're missing half your roster because of the JV game, and other schools have the same problem. So, but it's so I think when you can send those kids to the JV game on Monday and then still have a solid 4 days of practice after that, I think it makes a big difference for us, anyways.
So well, that'll be a good one. I'll be anxious to see the score, and good luck.
Yeah, hopefully a favorable one.
All right, good. Take care. Thanks.
If you are a coach, a booster, a PTA leader, Maine Athletic Fundraising is the choice to help you make money. Maine Athletic Fundraising works with both high school and youth programs of all ages to make you the most amount of money in the least amount of time. No risk, no minimums. Mark Smith and his staff will walk you through every step of their plan to help you meet your financial goals. Call them today, 207-468-1759, or check them out online, MaineAthleticFundraising.com.
I'm here with 11 head football coach Mike Hathaway. Coach, we had a good interview last week that the ambient noise behind us kind of made it hard to hear.
Yeah, made the audio a little tough.
But it was still fun.
Yeah, it was.
I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a blueprint for the future. When we get some local teams that are playing each other, it really was fun to have the quarterbacks there. And because initially when you mentioned quarterbacks, I'm thinking, geez, I don't know. They were great.
Yeah,
you can tell they're quarterbacks, quite frankly.
Nope, it was a good time, and Spence and I are pretty good friends, and Brady and Wyatt have a pretty good relationship too. So for us to sit down and just talk football for an hour, whether it came out good or not, was a fun time. So
I know that for those that are listening, I asked Mike what kind of questions you think we might ask, especially the quarterbacks. I didn't want to put them on and he goes, ask them to to do a scouting report on the other one. And I went, on the other quarterback? They did a great job of it.
Yeah, no,
they really did.
They did.
Yeah. So I think the game surprised me a little bit. I think that it shows that you guys have got it going.
Yeah, I think we were ready to play. For one, defensively we came out and we really controlled the line of scrimmage, and we were able to put good pressure on the quarterback, and force him into some tough throws, and we got a big sack on that fourth down early in the game. We kind of, we didn't have a real good kickoff. The kid almost missed the ball, and they had pretty good field position, and we stuffed them on the run, first, second, and third, and then on fourth they went for a play action, and Cam Jordan had a big sack in the backfield. So quick start, and then offensively, I thought. Up front, we blocked well. I thought our pass game was going pretty good. Wyatt and Cole hooked up a couple times early. Wyatt and Mark Herman hooked up a couple of times late. So we were able to get some first down throws as well as some big throws for some touchdowns. So it was good to see that part of our offense get clicking a little bit.
Yeah, I think I saw you in preseason. I haven't had a chance to see you since. Been other places, but I thought the variance of what people were expecting on offense is a lot to take an eye on and take a look at and be preparing for. It really is.
Yeah, I think
it's wide open.
Going back and looking at it in the first 10 plays, I think 6 or 7 different guys touched the ball. So, we're trying to spread it out pretty good. We're never going to really rely on one guy. And, a lot of our, pass plays really aren't designed to go to certain guys. They're designed to read certain guys on the defense and kind of take what they give us and throw what's open. So I thought Wyatt was a little better this week with his decision-making. Got the ball out of his hands a little bit sooner, and then when there's some chances to extend the play a little bit and make some things happen, he did a nice job with that as well.
Yeah, and I thought the defensive pressure on Brady Downing, I mean, you could tell when he finally did get a chance and broke through the line. Boy, is he fast, and boy, can he throw the ball, and he just didn't get an opportunity to really open it up.
Yeah, I mean, Brady's super talented. He's a great pocket thrower. He also can get out and do some things with his feet, and he's really intelligent. So, we tried to mix some coverages on him. We kind of blitzed from some different areas. We played a lot of our nickel and dime personnel, so we had a lot of speed on the field. But I thought our defensive staff did a nice job putting together the game plan with, Riley Parmenter, Tommy Casey, Cam Jordan, Cole Morin. Bringing those guys from some different places and some different ways to kind of confuse their offensive line and get some guys in the quarterback's face.
I did notice a little chuckle here that not because Hunter Hayes is hurt, certainly,
right,
but it allowed you to put that other Hathaway kid in the game.
Yeah, we've had a few injuries, and quarterback has been one of them. Hunter's obviously out, and Deegan Jordan, who's our JV quarterback, he also has been battling a hand injury on his throwing hand as well. So we took it kind of light with him. And, I think, as you mentioned, the broadcast, it also affected our kicking game a little bit. Hunter was our holder, and Deegan's our backup holder.
Oh, wow.
And our snapper, Ashton Gray, has also been out for a couple weeks. We do get him back this week. So, it's been a little bit of a tough go with the moving parts there, but it was good for Sawyer to get in there and get some experience in a varsity game. And, I thought he had a couple of nice runs and, did a nice job just kind of running the offense. And, sometimes when you get the 2s and 3s in there, it starts to get a little chaotic and, there's a little bit of mayhem out there with who's going where and whatnot. But, we were able to get a punt team on and off the field.
I thought they looked pretty polished.
Yeah,
they really did.
And that's a credit to our JV and freshman staff. Those guys do a nice job during the week, getting their guys coached up. And we did tell the kids at halftime, we want to look like we know what we're doing out there in the second half. If we're going to put our 2s and 3s out there, and we figured they would probably leave their 1s for at least a portion of the third quarter, that we want to go out and really play well. So the older kids did a nice job supporting those guys. The younger kids did a nice job doing what they're supposed to do, and I think we got every kid in a uniform in the game. So
wow, that's nice. I always said, I think I said it on the air, I think the hardest thing always is to get that second and third punting group out there where everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and you don't get the punt blocked or a bad snap or something crazy, because you just don't get a chance to do it.
Right, and in a close game at halftime, you're it's adjustment time, and you're talking about schemes on offense and defense. The situation we were in this week, it was more, let's get our defensive coaches, our offensive coaches, and our special teams coaches to talk to these guys, make sure the units are ready, the backups are ready, and Matt Twitchell is our special teams guy, and I think he made the comment in film on Friday night that the second group probably did a better job in terms of having 11 guys on the field than the first group did, because we had 12 a couple of times. So
I've told you the story, I think, but maybe the listeners haven't heard it. I was doing a Chevrolet game several years ago when John Wolfgang was the coach, and he was way ahead at halftime. I mean, I think they had 60 points at halftime. And so he had everybody in. Seriously, he had a kid at quarterback that, boy, I'm not sure he even got in the JV game. He's pretty raw. So it came time to punt. And he walked out on the field and he spoke to the official. The official ran over and spoke to the other coach. Instead of punting, which this is what they did was against the rules, they took the ball down and set it down.
Yeah, actually seeing that a lot in youth football now. I know in the middle school league that we're in, that's a rule, and, and in the youth league, it's the same thing. With they're just moving the ball ahead, and still doing kickoffs and things like that, and they're encouraging kicking the extra points and stuff at middle school, but taking the punt game out of it has made it a little bit easier, I think.
When I was in Skowhegan, the Youth Football League had a policy, if you kicked the extra point, it was 2 points. If you ran it in, it was 1.
Yeah, the league that we used to be in, you actually had to kick the first extra point. It wasn't a choice. And then after that, I think it was that same rule. But we're in a different league now. It's a little bit different. I haven't seen many kicks in the younger grades, but our middle school kicks them. So I'm going to cross the fingers and hope that we might have a pretty decent kicker coming up here next year.
That was one of, as you know, my son never played youth football until we got to middle school with Peter. And his first job was he snapped on because they kicked the extra points. He snapped on the extra points.
Right.
Nobody else had any idea how to do it. So he said, well, I'll do it. So,
well, and sometimes people forget, too, before you kick that thing, you got to snap it and hold it, which aren't, I was a holder in college, and that's not an easy gig. And, to get a good snap and a good hold. I mean, I was watching the game one of the games last night or the night before, where they were talking about how they had a new snapper and they were on their third holder or whatever. It starts to get a little sketchy even at that level. So in high school football, it's not easy for sure.
Well, and you look at that's all those guys do in practice in the pros. Is matter of fact, they were saying Vinatieri maybe was kicking too much, so he cut out some. He said, I think my legs may be a little warm and whatever. So a big one this week with Wells coming in.
Yeah, that's a good football team over there. They've won 30 some odd games, for a reason. You're talking about one of the best coaches over there. Peyton McKay might be the best running back in the state. You've got one of the best O lines. You got Carmen's over there running the defense. He's been around a long time. They have a great offensive line, a great defense. There's really not a lot of weaknesses with that team, and they certainly have a lot of experience in winning football games. So,
yeah, they're not going to do anything you don't expect. They're going to run the wing tee.
Yeah,
their big extravaganza was to put double wing out and still run the wing tee.
They'll run the old Delaware set sometime.
They're going to put 2 wings out.
Yeah, count a crisscross is a pretty good change up for them too. But Timmy's not going to. I don't think he's going to change what he's doing. It's worked for 33 straight, and I think if you go over 4 years, I think they've lost one game going back to like 2014. So.
Well, and the coach before him was a wing tee guy who became the principal.
Yep.
And then he was an assistant. He stayed with it. They've got that down, I think. And they're going to be in a 4.
Yep.
They're never going to change. I was always impressed when they came to 7-on-7 when Bates used to have the thing on all their fields or whatever. Everybody else is running shotgun and spread and whatever. No,
they just run waggle and belly keep pass every time. Just the quarterback couldn't keep it and run it.
Yeah, it looks boring, but boy, do they know how to do it. And I think that would be a game that would be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we talked about the other night was there's a lot of different ways to coach football and run offense and run defense and. None of them are the right way. There's a lot of different ways that people do it, and that's kind of the beauty of the game. Is you're going to have we're going to be in an odd front, they're going to be in an even front, we're going to be in spread, they're going to be in the wing tee, and some different styles going at it there. But I think it'll have the makings of a pretty good football game.
Yeah, and I think the thing I always felt one of the reasons we were successful in Skowhegan because we played an even front. Nobody else did. Everybody was still a 5-2 team, and that's great because it's been probably one of the most solid defenses ever.
Yep.
And we had to be in a 4, and people had trouble with it. And I think that's one of the things that we forget about coaching today is you have to adjust to a lot of different things because everybody's doing something a little bit different.
Yeah, I think you can split it right down the middle with our season this year in terms of odd fronts versus even fronts that we've seen. And you get a couple of teams who will toggle back and forth, and they're playing kind of a hybrid where they can get into both. So that's a lot of work for the offensive line. So that's probably one of the beauties of the wing T system is, and even our system to a degree is it's rule based. So it's not like we're memorizing so many plays against so many defenses. It's more like on this play, these are our rules, and can we apply it to whatever we see in front of us? And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things probably that we have in common.
Well, Coach, good luck.
Thanks.
It should be a good one Friday night, and I'll be anxious to see the score.
Yeah, me too.
All right, take care.
All right.
Our goal at Maine Athletic Fundraising is to raise you the most amount of money in the shortest period of time, hassle-free.
To learn more, visit them online at MBRsport.com.
Week 6 of the high school football season is upon us, and Oxford Hills makes a trip down to Gorham this evening to take on the Gorham Rams. Coach Mark Soren joins us now from Oxford Hills. Coach, let me start off with it seems like Gorham is in one of those spots where they're trying to build a program there from the bottom up, and they're starting to get there at this point. Let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges of that and where you might see where they're at currently.
Well, we're there, sort of been a little more consistent in the past, so we're kind of coming out of that phase. But what ends up happening is you have good athletes and you have some good size, and the kids are learning how to win and how to play hard every down. And so those kind of teams, they can play really well some days and not look so great other days. And so for us, we just have to make sure that we're prepared for that best version of that team. And they've looked pretty good. They've got some talented people on that size. They've got some decent size, and so it should be a challenging game.
Coach, last week's game against Edward Little was certainly a homecoming that I'm sure you guys will remember for a long time. It seemed to take a little while for you guys to get on track, but in the second half you really started to pull things away. What was the conversation like at halftime last week, and how healthy did you make it out of that game?
Pretty healthy. There's no one on our injured list right now, so we're happy with that. And two, really, the message like we're better than that, And Neil did a nice job in the second quarter. They held on the ball a long time, but we had a dropped interception, probably would have been a pick six, and we had the muff punt and some untimely penalties and that sort of thing. And so I said that we have to decide what kind of team we're going to be. Like, we have the potential to be an excellent team, but we're not playing that way. So I challenged the kids in that second half to be the team that they want to be, and they came out ready to go. They did a nice job. They saw things that they wanted to run, and we ran those pass patterns offensively, and defensively really shut them down. They scored on our 2s and 3s, but otherwise it was a pretty great half for us.
Talking with Oxford Hills Vikings head football coach Mark Soren in advance of tonight's game against Gorham, which you can hear on 92.7 WOXO. Seems like the running game has really gotten on track the last few weeks. Also, it looks like your quarterback might know what's going on back there. Maybe he's been in this system for a little while. I assume that really helps with things, right? I mean, I feel like he's been running most of these plays since he was able to actually call the plays.
Oh yeah. He's been around it, so he's heard me have 1,000 conversations about it. He's been around the team forever. So last year when Colt and I were talking, he's right there. Of course, it helps at home. We don't talk about a ton of football at home, but if he has questions, it's easy to sit down. Or last night he was really accurate, and I was able to just talk to him and say, "What do you think was different?" And his answer was like, "I don't know." But still, those are conversations that we can have, and we can have these little ones like, "Hey, did you remember this when this happened?" And like, "Yeah, that we just got this," and that sort of thing happens, and that knowledge base just sort of grows over time. And it's no question that him being much more comfortable now in that offense is helpful. We didn't
in just a minute
necessarily think we would be a throwing offense this year. We really thought we'd rely on Colby. We knew he'd be an excellent running back, and we have a very good offensive line. But it's really been nice that Atticus has had close to 150 yards a game really this year passing. And that's it's not the game plan to come in and get 150 yards. We're just sort of looking and seeing what's there. If they try to take away Colby, it's not just Atticus either. I mean, we've got Addison Brown, you've got J.J. Worcester and Tyler Blond, Tanner Herrick and Dakota Grassi. You've got a lot of guys that are dangerous with the ball. So we definitely want to try and get them the ball out in space as well.
Now, you're one of the few teams in high school football in the state of Maine that actually utilizes their tight end. for something other than just to spin them out wide and make sure that they look big. Is there any rhyme or reason to that, or is that just a matter of the quarterback of your quarterback getting him the ball when he's open? Because it seems like when J.J. Worcester's open, like things happen, and his variation of open is way different than other people's variation of open.
Yeah, no, it's by design. I mean, JJ's an outstanding player. He should be playing college football, and I think he should be playing at a very high level. He's a wrestler, and he's a really high-level wrestler, and he's just tough. And he's a great kid, and he's coachable, and he's got the longest arms I think I've ever seen. And so when he goes up, it's a tough matchup for anyone. He's just such a strong kid. He runs a sub-5-second 40. I mean, he's just a tough matchup. In fact, I don't even think we get him the ball enough. So those are one of the things we look at, like how do we get JJ the ball more? I just, in our offense, we have him off the line of scrimmage so we can motion him and we can pull him and we can get him in the flat or we can send him deep. That really has been one of the goals. It's hard to find in high school good tight ends. It's just hard to find a guy that can block and run and catch all at the same time. And so when you've got one, and we got him for this year, we're going to make sure we use him.
It's like finding a unicorn or Bigfoot, I guess, if you will. Oxford Hills Vikings head football coach Mark Soren joins us. Oxford Hills versus Gorham tonight on 92.7 OXO with a video stream on MBR.org, weather permitting. Coach, thank you very much for a little time today, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, thanks.